Hey guys, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the follow-up to my Urban Fantasy Paranormal Romance Spiritual Warfare recommendations video, which I will leave linked in the description in case you missed it. This is kind of my follow-up to that, where I compiled the list of books that fall into each of these three genre categories. These are the ones I want to read in the future. Like, I have them on my want to read list on Goodreads, and they've just caught my eye in one way or another, and I really want to try them. This is by no means a exhaustive list of things I might want to try, or, you know, I might find some later on in the future that I want to try, but this is the list I have for now, and I thought I'd share it with you guys in case you have heard about any of these or you haven't and you want to try some. So, before we get started on listing all the books, I don't have a ton of details about any of them, so disclaimer here, guys. I am not in any way, shape, or form recommending these books, so to speak. I am just listing these books as ones I have heard about or found and I want to try, which means I do not know if they are clean. I do not know if they have content in them that I would personally disagree with. I don't know any of that. So, with that disclaimer out of the way, this is just going to be a fun little video of all these books I've compiled together, and yeah, we're going to start with that. Also, I do want to say I'm not going to be going into a ton of detail about any of these because there's a lot here. I'm going to be mostly mentioning the series name of these, unless it's like a standalone or something. But I will be putting the pictures up on the screen of the first book in each of these series. So yeah, we're just going to go with it. This is just going to be a fun little video of me just showing all these books that I've found, because it's amazing how many I've actually found, and I'll put down on the screen here whether I know if they're like indie or traditionally published or anything like that, so you can kind of see for yourself, and I don't have to remember to say it because I will probably forget, like I always have in all these videos. But anyways, the first one I'm going to talk about is the Fallen Legacies series by Julie Hall. This is, I think, okay, her first series, Life After, is obviously Spiritual Warfare series. I talked about that in the recommendations video. This one, I think, is more along the lines of urban fantasy, because I think it's something with like the Nephilim, which is a race of angels that existed. I mean, they might still exist in heaven. I don't really know, but they existed down here on Earth during the time of Noah, so Old Testament times. So I don't know. It has something to do with like the Seraphim and the Nephilim, which are the two angel races that lived down here during that time frame in biblical history. So I don't know. I think it's more in the vein of urban fantasy than spiritual warfare. I don't think it was listed under Christian fiction when I looked on Goodreads. But yeah, I'm very excited for this. I have the first book on ebook of this one. I just haven't gotten to it because I'm a mood reader, and if the mood doesn't want to do it, we don't do it. So, but yeah, love the covers of these. So yeah, this one I think is like a 5-book series. I'm not really sure. I'm not going to know all the series. And I think she's going to have another series coming out. I think that's an urban fantasy too. It's called Creatures of Chaos. I think that's urban fantasy too. I don't remember when that one's coming out. I think it's either later this year or early next year. I don't fully remember, but I'll put the cover up here. So yeah, those two, I really like Julie's writing, so definitely want to get into those. The next one is actually a reprint of a series that was published under a small publishing house, but the publishing house went under due to the stupid economy and stuff like that, so all the authors are now republishing their books, or finding different publishing houses to go under. This one's Banshee Song by Laura L. Zimmerman, and this is the new cover. Yeah, this is like about a banshee, which is I think it's a type of fae creature, so we're dealing with like the fae realm, and she's like going to high school, but it's like it's not really working out, and she's trying to keep it under wraps that she's like a banshee, but it's not really working out for her, and it follows that storyline. This one sounds really interesting. I think this is going to be a trilogy, but the author has or is going to, I don't think they're out yet, or the first one is, I forget. She's republishing both the first 2 books this month. The third one was never released, so I don't know when she's releasing that one, but I think it's a trilogy. Not 100% sure. Then we have this one. This one's an adult urban fantasy series, so, but I have heard this is clean. It's been featured in the Clean Fiction magazine. That is the Steel City Genie series by Janeen Ippolito. This one is a trilogy. I think you can get the prequel novella for free. I have that one on an ebook. This one sounds very interesting because we're following a genie that's not really one of those that's not really one of those magical type creatures that are generally main characters. I don't think I've ever heard of a book where there's one other book with a genie as a main character that I read, but that's pretty much it, and that was a middle grade series. That was never finished as far as I know. But this one, yeah, she's a genie, and there's things going on. I think they're in Pittsburgh. So, yeah, not sure about this one. I really like the cover of this one. I do have the prequel novella of this one in ebook, but again, I haven't gotten to it because of, mood reader reasons. Then we have this one, which a lot of people may or may not know about. This is by the author of the Keeper of the Lost City series. She has a young adult trilogy called Skyfall. And yeah, this one's very interesting. I think we follow a wind nymph or some kind of magical being that controls wind. And I'm not sure. I know this series is not half as popular as her Keeper of the Lost City series, obviously. But I don't know, there seems to be mixed opinions on this one. Some people like it, some people don't. So I'm very curious about this one. I like her writing style in Keeper of the Lost Cities. So very interested to try this one. It is a trilogy. And she wrote it quite a while ago. I think it either published around the same time the first few books of Keeper of the Lost Cities came out, or something along those lines. So yeah, very interested in this one. This might be, aside from a couple of the others, this might be one of the only traditionally published ones I have on here, which, is kind of a thing because I don't know if urban fantasy is really published that much by traditional publishers, unless it's like, vampire type stories, like in the vein of Twilight or something like that. So, I don't know. And this is one of the only traditionally published ones I think I have on here. Okay, the next one I have is the Sin series by E.N. Chaffin. This one was also featured in a clean fiction magazine, so I know it's clean. I think they rated it as like a PG-13 level with like the violence and stuff like that. Don't really know anything about this one. I have the first book as an ebook. Have I gotten to it? No, I have not. This is going to be a theme of this video. So just know that. But yeah, I really know nothing about this. It has a cool cover though. But yeah, all I know is that it's clean because it was in the Clean Fiction magazine. So it was like, okay, at least it's got their seal of approval, so I know there's not too many sketchy things in it. So, or any sketchy things in it, really. Okay, so then the next one's the first manga on this list. Actually the only manga on this list, and that is Queen's Quality. Obviously, I talked about this when I recommended QQ Sweeper, which is technically the first 3 volumes of this series. But yeah, I'm putting Queen's Quality on here because I do really want to read this. Will I get to it in the near future? Hopefully in the near future. Probably not this year, though, unfortunately. I did want to try to get to it this year, but I have to buy the volumes, and currently, right now, I just don't have that in my budget. So, yeah, it's going to be put on the back burner, which is kind of disappointing because I did want to try it, but it is what it is. And this one, I actually found this book yesterday. It was on a free ebook sale list, which at the time when I published this video, it might still be for free, so look into it and see if it's still free on ebook. That is Undercity Heroes by Ren Blake. I have never heard of this series. This is like young adult urban fantasy. I think these kids have like obviously magical powers and they fight demons who have taken over the world, or at least this city. It's also kind of like a dystopian from what I understand, from what I gathered with like skim reading the first chapter on Amazon. So I don't know. This one's very intriguing to me. So, but it kind of has that like dystopian, gritty survival kind of like maybe almost like superhero type aspect to it, but it's urban fantasy. So I don't know. I'm very curious about this one. Interested to see if I'll like it or not. So yeah, I do have this one as an ebook as well, the first one. But yeah, when I publish this video, go ahead and check out on Amazon whether the ebook's still free or not, because I don't know how long that series sale or the books for free sale on that list were running for, so it didn't say dates. So might still be free by the time I upload this video. If you're watching this way in the future, it probably isn't by now, but it is what it is when you have things like that. The next one, this one will be quite a while. That's The Wolves of That is The Wolves of Arcadia Bay by A.J. Skelly. This is like a sequel series, I think, to The Wolves of Rock Falls. There's only one book so far. So yeah, this one's gonna take me a bit. I have the first book, but I obviously haven't finished the other series first, so, and if this is kind of a sequel series, I don't really want to read this one before I finish the other one. You know what I mean? So, yeah, this one's gonna be a while, but this is, again, about werewolves, primarily. I don't think there's any other supernatural creatures in her series, so, yeah. This one, which I have completely forgotten the series because I only wrote down the first book's title, so I don't know what the series is, as of recording this. So, that is Lost Wolf by Stacy Claflin, possibly. I think this is a fairly long series, and, yeah, I think it's about werewolves again, or just all types of shifters, because I think later books in the series, they go into, like, a panther shifter or something like that, but I think the majority of them are about werewolves, and I think this girl has, like, lost her memory or something like that, and I'm guessing maybe she's a werewolf, and then somebody from her pack or somebody who knew her finds her again, but she doesn't remember them, so I think it kind of has the amnesia trope. I don't 100% know. I got this during a free ebook sale, I think last year, so I have this one, just, you know, the theme of the video. I haven't gotten to it yet. So yeah, very curious. I think people liked beginning books of this one, but the ratings kind of went down for the later books, so we'll see how it goes. This is a manhwa, Korean manhwa, which my friend Laura has talked very highly about. I'm very excited about this one. Actually, I managed to read the first 2 chapters on Webtoons for free, and it's actually getting anime next year, and that is Dark Moon, the Blood Altar. I think this deals with vampires and werewolves. I'm very intrigued by this one. I think the main core group of boys, they're based off of a K-pop band. So yeah, it's something like that, and I don't know anything about K-pop, so sorry, but I'm very interested by this story. It's a very intriguing story. I really like the first 2 chapters that I did read and the snippets I did manage to read for free online of this story, so I'm very curious about this one. Definitely another one that's gonna have to wait though because my library doesn't have volumes of this, so I'd have to buy them. And manhwa is stinking expensive, seriously. And I thought like other books, you know, novels were bad. Manhwa is really expensive. I guess it's because they color it. I don't know. But yeah, I think there's 4 volumes out so far. I think there's going to be a 5th one in December. I don't know how long the series is going for. I think it's done. It's just being translated into English, so I don't know how long it's going to be, but I'm very interested in this one. I have this one, which, again, I didn't write down the series name. I wrote down the first book's title. This one I found, I think it was like a recommended to me on the Kindle app. You know, when you go to the bottom, they often like, based on your reading, here's a book. I think this one came up on there, and it's The Vampire's Masquerade by Nellie Peters. That's the first book. I don't know the series name. I didn't write it down. This one's very interesting. I think it's kind of like, it's urban fantasy, but it's also fairy tale retelling, because I think the first book's Cinderella. But it's also about, you know, vampires and werewolves and stuff like that. So, very interested about this one. This one has mixed reviews as well. So, a lot of these urban fantasy books tend to have mixed reviews. Either people really love them or they really don't. So, very interesting. I wonder if that's just something in the genre or it's a thing of maybe not all urban fantasy is quality written. I'm not really sure, but all these books seem to have divisive reviews. So, very interested to try that one. Obviously in the future I don't have any access to this one, but the cover's pretty. I really like the cover of this one. And I think the final book is, or has already released, which is, it's like a Rapunzel retelling. There's like 4 or 5 books in the series, something like that. This one's pretty sure, yep, it's the only anthology on this list. I'm only putting this on because my friend, Angela R. Watts, has a story in this anthology, and that is Streets of Fire and Shadow. It's just an urban fantasy anthology, so lots of different stories set in urban fantasy type things. So I'm putting this up here because I'm interested in her story. I don't recognize any of the other authors, so could be interesting. anthologies are rather hit or miss for most people I know. Me, I know that too, because sometimes you like some of the stories and then sometimes you don't like the rest of them. So yeah, that one's gonna be interesting to try at some point. I learned about this one. So in my recommendations video, I talked about the Dragon of 23rd Street series, and it turns out Kenley Davidson, the author of that series, is starting another urban fantasy series set in that same world. I think some of the characters, at least in this one, which is Magic Forsaken, I forgot the series title. This is coming out December 6th. I hate that word. Here's the date. And I don't know who the girl is. I suspect who she is. If she's someone from the first series, I kind of am suspecting who she might be. But I do know from the description that the main guy character is going to be one of Kira's brothers from the Dragon of 23rd Street. And I'm very interested in this one. I haven't been vibing really with Kenley Davidson's works except for that series. So I'm very interested to check it out, even though her other fantasy type series it didn't really vibe the best with. But I'm very interested in this one. But this is going to be a new release in December. So very excited about that, and I really like the cover. We have this one. Not sure about it, but I have heard nothing but rave reviews about it on Goodreads. And that is High Court of the Coffee Bean series. The first book is Welcome to the Fae Cafe by Jennifer Kropf, possibly. Not sure if that's how you say her name or not. I apologize if it's incorrect. I think this is like a cozy urban fantasy series, which kind of has me a little bit like, I'm not sure, because cozy books and I don't normally get along. I don't generally tend to like them. There have been rare exceptions, but the majority is I generally don't like them, but I have heard nothing but great things about this, and it sounds humorous. It's like these fae assassins, like something happens, this human accidentally kills a fae or something like that. She didn't know it was a fae, so then these fae assassins like come after her, but instead they like end up getting roped into like starting her coffee shop or something like that. I don't know. It sounds interesting. And like their high prince starts falling in love with her even though he's supposed to kill her. It's kind of one of those scenarios. It sounds really interesting. It sounds cute. The cozy thing does have me a little bit like, little leery because, like I said, cozy and I don't normally get along. But if I could find this as an ebook, like on sale or something, maybe it'll go on sale like during Black Friday or something like that, I would be more likely to pick it up than to buy a full price. But because, and in case people are going to be like, just read it on Kindle Unlimited. I don't have Kindle Unlimited, and I don't have access to purchasing it at this time in place because, you know, budget. We've been talking about this. Yeah, so I don't really have access to that right now, so even if it is on KU, it's just not an option for me. I have to buy my ebooks on sale and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know. This one could be interesting. I know it could be good for a lot of other people who like cozier books, who watch my channel and stuff. So if you do like that, this could be an option. We have this one, which I will say this one probably so far on this list ranks as most terrible cover, and that is Baptism by Fire by Alexandra Gilchrist. I'm not sure how to say her last name. I apologize if that's incorrect. This is actually Christian, kind of like paranormal crime book. This is like a first in series. It's the only one in existence. This one was also featured in the Clean Fiction magazine, so I know it doesn't have sketchy stuff in it. And I think it's basically like this human guy. I think they work for like the FBI or the CIA. I forget which alphabet soup group they work for. And he there's this human guy. He gets assigned to be like this partner and like almost guard of this phoenix who's been alive for forever, and he's also an agent, and they're dealing with some kind of supernatural crime, I think is what they're dealing with. Sounded interesting. I have this one as an ebook. Again, haven't gotten to it, but yeah, I don't like this cover. This cover would not draw me in, but I did see somebody on Goodreads that I follow reading it. I think she liked it fairly well. And again, it was featured in the Clean Fiction magazine. So yeah, I'm very intrigued because it's Christian. So I'm interested to see how that works out. And we have this one, which, I don't remember the series, but it's on the cover here, so you can read it for yourself. The first book is Flashpoint. This is by C.M. I do not know how to say her last name. Here it is. You can read it for yourself and pronounce it however you pronounce it. I don't want to butcher her name. So, this is, from what my understanding, I think this first book is a novella. Or it's a novella series. I think it is also kind of like military-esque, or it's like another crime type-esque story. This is a new release, and it also has urban fantasy elements to it, as shown with the dragon on the cover and stuff. So yeah, this is like a new series. I think the first book just came out recently, and the second book is coming out in December, I think. Very interested. I don't have this book. I have another book by this author on my as an ebook, so very interested. I hear she writes really good guy friendships, relationships type things. I don't think there's a ton of romance. I think this book does have a romance in it, but I don't think she writes a lot of romance. She tends to go with like the more bromance type thing. So I'm very interested. I always like seeing how how people write guy characters, especially like interacting with each other and stuff, because I'm not friends with really any guys in my real life, so I'm very always interested to just kind of see the male dynamic written out and just like kind of like take notes for my own writing. This is the first book in the, I think this is the Late Hours saga. I could be incorrect. The cover will correct me. But the first book is Death Bargain. This is by Angela R. Watts and Irene Sylvan. This has no romance in it whatsoever. This deals with vampires. I think this girl gets turned into a vampire, and then she makes a deal with like this vampire hunter guy because she wants him to kill her, but he's like, no, I don't want to kill this girl. How about we try to find you a cure, and if I can't within a certain amount of time, then I will kill you. And she agrees to it. And yeah, but the thing is, apparently he and his friend tried this once before with somebody else, and they couldn't find a cure, so it's kind of like that kind of ticking time bomb thing. Really interested in this one. Again, I really like Angela's works, and she's teamed up with another writer who I don't think she's published anything before. I'm pretty sure this is her first published work, so very curious about this one. Then we have our first Christian spiritual warfare on here, and that is the Delusion series by Laura Gallier. Gallier. I don't know how to say her name. This one I've not read. I know Celestia loves this series. Oshina has read it. She really liked it. Can't think of anybody else who's read it. I think Lucy from the Lucy Chronicles read the first book. I don't know if she's continued the series. So yeah, very interested about this one. It's basically about this teenage guy who drinks some water from a well or something, and then suddenly is able to see in the spiritual realm. Very interesting. And I think it does deal, the first book especially does deal with a lot of like suicides and stuff like that from high school kids, so some trigger warnings there for that. I mean, a creepy cover didn't give you that vibe already. And we have our next spiritual warfare book, and that is The Chronicle of Three by Tabitha Kaplinger. This one I heard about a long time ago, and it's a trilogy, and very interested. It's basically about, I think these teenagers who end up fighting demons or something like that. I think it might be some kind of in line with Life After, but without the main character has died. It is in heaven. I don't think it's that angle. So yeah, very interested in this one. I read the first chapter of this one on Amazon's free sample thing a long time ago, and I'm still interested in it. I still remember bits from it. And we have a classic spiritual warfare series, which I have not read, and that is This Present Darkness by Frankie Peretti. So, I've never read this book. So, I know this is like a classic, like, Christian book. Never touched it. I think I've only ever read 2 books by Frank Peretti. And from the way people have talked about his books and stuff like that, and with my apparent problem with Christians not really writing enough fantasy, sci-fi type books for my liking, that is until I found indie books, and there's a lot more of those. Yeah, I think I would like Frank Peretti's writing, but I've only read 2 of his books. I do really like those books though, so yeah, I definitely want to try this one and give my opinion on it. We have this one, the Royal Quest series. This is urban fantasy by Kelly and Jane and Ashley McLeo. I think this is like a 6-book series. You can get the first book for free on Amazon, which is what I've done. And I like the covers of these. Very interested. I think it's about a dragon shifter, and she's like in hiding, or she doesn't know she's a dragon shifter, or is she a dragon shifter? Or dragon shifter finds her. Dragons are involved. That's all I know. And yeah, very interested in this. Don't know really what to expect with this one. Friend on Goodreads read the series, and she didn't leave any reviews, but she did rate the first book, like, she did rate most of the books like 3 or 4 stars. So, yeah, I thought I'd try it. Really like the cover. That's pretty much all I know. And then the final one I'm going to talk about, an interesting one to end on. This one I actually heard from Christy. She talked about it when she was giving her she was giving her TBR for the Back to Hogwarts readathon back in September. And she gave this series because one of the authors is a pen name for a different author, or a different name, and that is the Supernatural Reform School. I think that's actually the first book's title. I don't know the series title, but here's the book. This is by Sullivan Gray and E.C. Farrell. One of these authors, I think it's Sullivan Gray, I actually don't know. One of these authors is a pen name for Emma St. Clair. Apparently she writes like clean rom-coms and stuff like that. I know Christy and Oshina have both read her books, but I'm not really into the rom-com thing, so I have not read any of her books. I think has Amanda read any of her books? I actually don't know, but she might have too. But yeah, so apparently one of these names is a pen name for Emma St. Clair, and these two authors wrote this Supernatural series, which is basically, as far as I can tell, it's kind of like Harry Potter, because it's like a boarding school thing, but instead of them all being wizards, they're all different, like, supernatural beings. Possibly one of them might be a dragon shifter, if I'm remembering the description of the book correctly. I'm probably not, but, you know, there are a lot of books here. I'd never heard of this book before Christy mentioned it, but it's a trilogy. Looks interesting. So yeah, I'll definitely look into this one as well. And that's it. Those are all the books that I have on my want to read list that fall into the urban fantasy, paranormal romance, or spiritual warfare categories, and very interested to try all of these. I think about only 2 of them I'm a little hesitant about, mainly the cozy one, because cozy stuff and I don't normally get along, and then the anthology, just because recently I tried another anthology and I only liked one story in it, and I DNF'd the rest of it for reasons that you'll hear about in my October wrap-up. It wasn't fun. Let's just put it that way. If you guys have read these books, heard about any of these books, want to give opinions on them, or like things that you might have heard that, say, I or somebody else watching this video may not like about them, please leave those down below in the comments. Because if you know of any pitfalls I probably wouldn't like ahead of time, I would love to know before I either buy the book or read the book. So yeah, any and all comments about these books, leave them down below. If you have any other books that you've heard of that are in these three genre categories that you want to recommend that are clean, specifically clean, no spicy, overly gory books are allowed. Just no. But if you have any recommendations for those, feel free to leave those down below in the comments as well. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye!